Hello, my name is Fan of Blue, and I wanted to walk through a showcase of my Five Tribes digital adaptation in Godot that I worked on in 2025 and a little bit in 2024 at the end. Um, so let's get started. You start by looking for a lobby. Lobbies are based on the port number that the multiplayer server is hosting the game on. We'll join this one. Set our name as Fan of Blue. And then we'll move this to the side for the other player. The other player will join the same lobby. And they'll be fan of pink. Why not? Start the game. So, um, if you don't know the rules of Five Tribes, I'm not going to spend too much time going over them, but I'll just give a quick overview. You have your pips that you vote for turn order on, or rather, bid for. And after that bidding turn, based on the turn order from right to left and down to top, you will play the game. You pick up pips in a sort of Moncala mechanic, place them down one after the other. Then your last one, pick up all of the same colored pip on that tile. In this case, it was white, so now I have, if you look over here, 4 white pips in my inventory. And then I get the choice to buy some um, Gins. So I'll go ahead and purchase Borak. It's my turn again, so maybe I'll just showcase the usage of this Gin, Borak. I'll press use with a nice shader. So cool. I can place a palace on any village. I'm going to pay 1 elder to do that now. I'll place it here, just for fun. Why not? And then it's my turn again, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Place down some pips, and I'll start trying to vie for control of this tile here. And my turn. Now it's Fan Pink's turn. So we've got this sort of top-down view, 3D board. I experimented with a 2D one, and it worked fine. It might have been better because right now it's a little bit hard to read these tiles in this perspective. But I thought having a 3D board would be a little more premium. Just to tour the rest of the board here, we have our gin box to see the gins you own. Fan of Pink doesn't have any, but Fan of Blue has one. And we can look at the art here. We have our coins. We have the gin deck here. We have the resource card deck and the bank at the top. We've seen the bid order track and turn order track. And we have this sort of instruction prompt. And then over here we have the resources that are visible to other players. The amount of gold that other players have is invisible to you, but you can see how many coins they have just based on how many are in front of them. I tried to model this after the physical board game where when you're playing with other people, they're going to have their coins face down. So you don't know what the denomination of each of the coins is, but you can see how many coins they have. Same goes for resource cards. You will know how many resource cards another player has, but you won't know which resource cards those are. You do get a look at other players' gins if you want to, and their meeples, and how many camels left they have. It's Pink's turn, so I'm just going to show off the market here now. We're going to end up over here, so let me think about how I can get there. If I start here, I can place some tiles one at a time and end up here. Now I can buy some resource cards. I got 3 automatically. I got the top 3 because I picked up 3 green meeples. And I also, because it's a market, get to choose some to buy. I don't have any spice or fish, so that's what I'm gonna spend my 6 gold coins on. I'll buy 2. Then I'm gonna end my turn. I don't feel like selling any suits right now. It's my turn again, based on this turn order at the top. So I'll go ahead and showcase the assassination next. I noticed that Phantom Blue has 2 Viziers and 1 Elder, and I'm going to just try to get rid of their Elder. So I could do that. I could use this dagger to kill one of the Elders. Or I could maybe take control of this tile by killing this Elder on this tile. That places a camel immediately on that tile, and I have control of this tile. Because I ended my turn on a village, I can place a palace there. And I'm going to end my turn on that. So that's the basic flow of the game. I want to talk a bit about the code organization as well. So looking at the organization of the code, we have this game root node, and that's the top level node that handles the lobby server joining and the multiplayer. It holds the main menu node on it. And then when the game is created, it will also hold the game as a child of it. Looking at the game board node itself, this is where most of the logic of the game lives. I did my best to keep things organized and modular. When I decided to switch from a 2D Sultanate to a 3D one, it helped that a lot of my code was just plug and play, so I could just create a new 3D Sultanate scene and then pop it in where I had the old 2D one, and things more or less worked without much more adjustment. The main game logic lists here. A lot of the network code is organized based on a simple flow. It starts with a server function. The server sends a prompt to the client. That lives down here. The client finishes their choice. We have this await here while the client chooses. Then there's this finish merchandise sale function. That sends it back to the server. The server handles this player's finish request, which emits a signal. The signal is what the original server function is waiting on here. Then it can continue with the rest of the logic. So this way, I can essentially have multiplayer signals. If you use Godot, you'll understand the signal sort of paradigm for coding. It doesn't exactly have a multiplayer alternative, but you can create one in that sort of way. Next up, I wanted to talk a bit about the development process. I kept all of my notes in this notes.txt file. Every day I would make some notes about what I wanted to work on or about something from the game manual that I wanted to keep in mind. I kept my list of bugs, including visual bugs, gameplay bugs, or just things that I thought would be nicer. Here, every day I would note what I worked on that day. I've made a script to count the number of hours I worked, and you'll see 229 hours. This was a large project for me, probably the largest project I've ever worked on alone. 229 hours in hindsight seems like a lot and not very much. Next, I want to talk about hosting the game server online. I bought a domain name because in order to issue or create SSL certificates, you need a domain name. And I hosted the game on itch. I had it connect to my server on AWS, and things went more or less smoothly. When debugging the game, sometimes errors would just pop up and I would have no idea how to fix them or even how to debug them. So in the future, I want to set up a better system for noticing multiplayer bugs and fixing them. The server running on AWS was just a Linux server running the same code, but just with a flag to be the server. It might not have been the most efficient way to do things, but it was very easy to iterate on and required almost no extra setup from local testing. Everything runs in GD script. I didn't really see much reason to do C++ or C Sharp with how easy it is to script and then run. I wanted to talk a bit about the visuals of the game. I used the game's manual to inform a lot of the visual design language that I used in the UI of the game. These sort of rounded chamfers here are you'll see mirrored in a lot of the UI elements if I open up a new instance of the game. Here on the bank and on the resource card deck, at the bottom in your resource bar, and on the instruction sidebar here, we have these beveled corners. The multiplayer server has this sort of wispy, magical dusk effect here that was inspired by the front page of the manual. I wanted to give a shout out to all the people who helped me test this game. It was a lot of help. They gave me a lot of useful insight. Testing your game with players is always a good idea. So thank you, Rebex, King of the North, Ben, Litlocks, and Will W. Finally, I want to give a shout out to Seth, who scanned all these board game pieces and asked me to make this game in the first place. Without him, I wouldn't have thought to spend all this time on this project, which I'm really quite proud of and had a lot of fun doing and learned a lot doing. So, thank you, Seth, and thank you for watching.